Testing, testing, testing. It seems like I'm live. I'm not sure. It's been such a long time that I've been going live. I had a glitch with my camera on my last laptop, and now I got a new laptop, and now I could make live feeds again or whatever. Um, Happy New Year. I just watched a ball drop on the New Year's Rockin' Eve or whatever. Um, I just watched the ball drop. Usually I tune in from what I'm watching on TV just to see the ball drop, like during the last 30 seconds or last minute. I don't watch that other crap. I don't watch all those bands and all that crap. My music taste is different from what is shown on the TV. I'm more of a classic rock and oldies person. I've always been. I used to hate '90s music um, back when I was in high school and junior high. I used to hate '90s music, but after I got older, I rewound back, and I've grown to appreciate the music that was popular when I went to school. A lot better than the that it is now. A lot of these bands that kids listen to, I really haven't heard of. Um, like I care. Um, yeah, I mean, plus as I've gotten older, my mind expanded itself to liking other genres of music, older music such as jazz and so forth. Yeah, I mean, once you get older, your tastes change. Um, I always loved the Monkees. Matter of fact, when I was cruising around in a red truck today, I was listening to the Monkees on a CD I have in the truck. Um, Eventually, I'll change my group taste. Right now, my mind is geared toward the Monkees while driving. Another time, I'll be listening to something else. Maybe it'll be Black Sabbath or something. I got a Black Sabbath CD or someplace. I don't know. I got my rum and coke, Andy. This is the first time I've been drinking. I decided to save the drinking for this live feed here. And for all of you people that were reaching out to me about the loss of my mother, I really appreciate that. Thank you all for reaching out and caring and just leaving me a note, so to speak, even though I really didn't respond to them. Um, like Tyler from Alabama, uh, he reached out during my first live video. He was expressing his condolences to me, and I really appreciate that. Um, yeah, a lot of you people out there in YouTube land, if you have heard that my mother passed away, yeah, she passed away during COVID. I mean, it was kind of hard for me and my family because we couldn't see our mother. She was in an assisted living facility. She had Alzheimer's, and during COVID, we weren't allowed to see her other than a phone call or a window visit or um, phone call, window visit, or like let's say um, like on a video stream, like what I'm doing on YouTube, like Skype or something. If the caregivers could set the residents up to do that, yeah. And yeah, I mean, I called my mother a couple times when she was in there. Um, Here's the thing that kept me from calling too much. Over time, as she got more advanced in the Alzheimer's, She started losing her physical ability. Um, she went from using a cane to a walker. Um, she couldn't walk around as good as she used to. And I figured during the day they were doing activities probably. And at night, after supper, usually they would eat supper like at 4 or 5 p.m. And I figured my mother was probably just unwinding after her supper and she was probably ready to go to bed. So I really didn't feel like calling her. Then she would have to get up out of her chair and answer and talk on the phone. I really just didn't want to disturb her. But when the facility was opened to people for the first time that late spring before she passed away, I'm glad I got to spend time with her, even though her mind, as far as the advancement of the Alzheimer's, her mind was like basically just it was just too far gone. I really couldn't hold a conversation with her, even though she asked me like a question the last time I visited her, asking me if I got the garden in, and I told my mom just like, no, I didn't get it in. It's just too early yet. And that last time, a week later, she was in hospice care. Her kidneys were shutting down, and she was really bad. It was just like a light bulb just went out. When I visited her the last time before she went to the hospice, um, she when I visited her, I mean, she was all right. I mean, she was all right enough to see my aunt, her older sister, and my aunt's daughter, her niece. And it was good that they got to see her when she was well, even though she wasn't all the way there or all there. So I was glad that they got to see her um, in a sane way before she went into the hospice care when her kidneys were shutting down um, and she was just a complete mess. She ended up in a complete mess. Um, yeah, and it was really hard on my sisters. They were really emotionally, you know how women are. They were just they were just emotional wrecks. And when it was all over after my mom passed away, they felt relieved, even though they may have shedded a few tears after that. They were mostly just relieved that she didn't have to suffer anymore. Um, Me visiting my mother during the last time before she went into the hospice care, it was kind of like a video on YouTube of The Sopranos where Tony Soprano is visiting um, Junior, I think his name was. Junior was in a nursing home, and I guess Junior had dementia or Alzheimer's, and he was just staring at a window, kind of responseless, kind of emotionless. That's the way my mom was. It was just like talking to a brick wall. I mean, I hate describing it that way, but it's just the way it was. And yeah, I mean, I wish I could have spent more time with her, but with the COVID, it just screwed that up royally. And um, me and my family, we agreed to cremation as far as like a burial alternative. My father who passed away in 1976. I couldn't remember that funeral because I was only 2 years old, but he had a casket for his funeral. And as many casket funerals I've been to, you just cannot get the sight out of your mind. You can't get the when you see that person in a casket. Um, that memory is in your mind forever, and you just cannot shed it off. And we just had my mother cremated as a burial alternative to casket burial. It was cheaper, and plus, we could have pleasant memories of my mother than rather than her laying in a casket. It would be just like her being erased from existence, which it has happened. We don't have that memory of her laying in a casket because she was cremated. And yeah, my family agreed to that. I was at work. My sister called me, and she was like, "When you get time, call me." And um, I hate being in suspense. Um, if they want to talk to me about something, they should do it now because otherwise my mind just can't get off of it. So I talked to my sister over the phone when I was at work, and she asked me about cremation versus burial, and I told her my thoughts on cremation, and everybody was on board with it, which was really cool. And yeah, her being cremated versus being buried in a casket, we don't have that memory of her lying in a casket because, like I said, as many casket burial family, as far as many casket funerals I've been to, you see the person in the casket, and you never get that thought out of your mind. It's always there. Um, I remember back in 1984, my grandfather, his funeral. I was 10 years old, and that was my first open casket viewing experience, and it kind of weirded me out. And I still kind of remember how he looked, and I mean, even though I don't know the details of it because it was so long ago, it was 37, 38 years ago now. Holy shit. Yeah, it's been that long. So, yeah. Um, so I'm doing great. Um, I mean, there's times I wish my mother was here. I visited her gravesite a few times already. Um, Usually, back during my mother's sane days before she came down with Alzheimer's, she loved sweet things to eat. I was always baking for her all the time, and when Halloween would come around, I would always get pissed at her taking the Halloween candy. So what I did was I put like a couple candy bars and some candy corn in a plastic bag, and I left it on top of the headstone. She's interred in a veteran cemetery. As far as cremation, her remains are in the ground on top of my father's. So yeah, uh, yeah, that's a circus. But I'm doing great. Whenever I mean, I want to frame a picture of my mother. I mean, I got a picture, but I got to frame it yet. Um, Eventually, I'll frame it and I'll put it my next to my recliner on my end table. Because all that I look now is the old all that I look at now is the old family picture on the wall right by the recliner. I purposely put that old family picture up, even though it's like 40 years old. I purposely put that up, and whenever I have a thought of my mother, I just look at that. Um, but yeah, as far as like, I mean, my family has been amazed at how well I've been taking it because I was really close to my mother. Um, but um, I think what happened is when she went into that memory care facility, and then the COVID came, I there was just a long period of time that she wasn't in my life. So I sort of adjusted to that, her not being around and seeing her suffer. Um, I really didn't shed no tears. I mean, I mean, I told my sister, I'm like, I hate to be unempathetic, but it's just the way I am, and she understood. It was no big deal, which was great. Um, yeah, but there's times I miss my mother. We all do. This is the first holiday period that we've been without her. Um, so far, we're doing okay, and um, yeah. And Tyler, my what's that? My nephew lives in Roanoke, Alabama. Um, I got an invitation to come to his wedding. It's sometime in April, I think. I don't know if I'm gonna go. I think that there might be a possibility because things are looking good right now. Yeah, I don't know because that airfare, I don't know, it's just a big chunk of change. I mean, if it wasn't, I understand the family wants to probably spend a lot more time down there, and I'd rather just show up for the wedding and then go back within a couple days back to Milwaukee. I don't know. I'll figure something out. Maybe within the month. But anyways, other than that, and my mother, um, yeah. Um, this past year, this past November, I had another loss. My scooter was stolen right out of my backyard. Um, I kind of took it. I kind of took it for granted. During the first years of owning it, I would always garage it. I always looked after it, and then after a while, I just sort of just left it outside, and I really didn't care. And I got too confident in my neighborhood because I felt like my neighborhood was decent, and I thought nobody was going to steal it. And nobody did steal it for the longest time. And then all of a sudden, I just come home from work and I noticed it was missing. So I called police immediately and I pulled out my title and I showed it to the police. And the the policeman, I was really cooperative with him. Um, he took down the information. He took a camera photo of the title and everything, um, and then I contacted my insurance company, and the investigation is done now. I guess I just gotta fill out some paperwork for the salvage company. I don't know if they have it. Copart is the organization that's going to be owning it right after I signed the title over to them. I don't know if they have it. It's a good thing that a Copart facility is located in my city. I could just run the keys over to them if they need it, if they need them. I don't know if they have the scooter. I really don't. Um, but as far as like my loss, I was compensated very well. I mean, I can't get into detail right now, but I was really amazed. Um, yeah, I was really amazed. I was compensated very well. I mean, I thought I was gonna get. I was expecting so much, and then I thought in reality they'll probably just give me $200 for it. But it turned out it didn't. It wasn't that way. Within the 15 years I've owned it, um, I've I've I mean, I really didn't lose out that much. Yeah, as far as my fun, I got my use out of it, um, and as far as it being stolen and me being compensated for the loss, I really didn't lose out that much. Um, and for a while, I've been thinking about like getting like a touring scooter. I've been looking at possibly a Honda Helix. I've been searching around for those like on Marketplace and Craigslist or whatever. Not really Craigslist much anymore. I search on Marketplace a lot. Not I don't buy anything necessarily on Marketplace. Maybe once in a while I will. Um, I recently I made a purchase on Marketplace. Um, Recently I made a purchase on Marketplace. It was the first purchase I made in quite a long time on Marketplace. This guy from a nearby city, he was selling 4 brand new Cooper tires with the blue covering over the white letters. My size for my red truck, my red Silverado. And he wanted $300 for the set. And I messaged him and I thought I wasn't going to get messaged back. I told him, I'm just like, I'm not beating around the bush. I have the cash right now. Just let me know your address and what time you're going to be around, and I'll be there. And he was the type of person not to beat around the bush. I mean, he made it clear in the posting, no bullshit. So yeah, surprisingly, he left his information, and I drove out there and I looked at them, and yeah, they still had the blue coating on the white letters, and they had like 3 of them had the sticker still on the tread of the tires. It turns out that he got them from an estate of a guy that passed away. He got them for free, I guess. If he wants to profit off of things he got for free, I have no problem with that. I mean, I do the shit all the time myself. And I was talking to him, and he said he had inquiries about the tires. People that were offering him $200, and I told him, I'm just like, that's BS. A new set of tires like that with white letters, Coopers, is over $600 brand new. And that's just for the tires, I think. I mean, they might be modded and balanced at some places for that much, but usually just for the tires, white letters, Coopers, they're $600. And yeah, I got a really good deal on them tires. And at a nearby shop in my city, I paid $115 to have all 4 modded and balanced, and then I had the 4 old ones disposed of for $115. Modded and balanced and disposal for $115. You can't beat that price, especially right now since everything's being inflated. Yeah, inflation. Gas prices. It'll be a while to get back to those Trump prices. If we take the House back in 2022, maybe we'll get some relief from these high fuel prices. But we're going to be, like I say sometimes, you might as well just bend over, take some Vaseline, and smear it on your asshole because you're going to be in for a long ride. And that's just the way it is. I own this house now, and the last month's heating bill was $158. And that's usually a January or February bill when it's so cold. For in December, or as far as a bill for November, that was pretty steep. And then you got Biden on TV. Oh, Americans will expect some relief. Yeah, 15 cents from a gallon of gas, that ain't enough. I mean, I don't know how many of you support Biden. I mean, if you do, that's fine. I mean, I really don't want to hear any details about it. But, I mean, I think, there's 2 sorts. I hate to get involved in politics. As far as the Democratic Party, there's 2 types of Democrats out there. There's the blue dog labor type Democrats that are pro union, and then there's the progressives. The problem is the progressives that are screwing up this country royally. The progressives are. Um, I mean, a lot of progressives they are pissed at Joe Manchin for voting against Build Back Better bill, Biden's Build Back Better bill, and he was praised from a lot of people as far as turning down his vote for that bill. And yeah, and a lot of these bills that they're putting out, um, you got to look at what it look. You got to look at what in them. There's a lot of stuff in these bills that have nothing to do with what the bill title itself is. Like there was a bill that Nancy Pelosi approved of in the House. Um, it had all this stuff in this bill that wasn't related to COVID. A lot of unnecessary stuff, a lot of unnecessary spending. What should we spend? What should we, as far as spending money, we should be worried about spending money in this country for things that matter instead of things that don't matter. We shouldn't be donating to organizations. We should be spending money on repairing this country. But nobody seems to give a shit. Nobody seems to stand up. And hopefully in 2022 maybe we could see some relief as far as these high fuel prices, these high natural gas prices. We're really getting screwed here. And that 15 cents below a gallon of gas that Biden predicts as relief, that's a bunch of crap. And as far as the pipeline versus rail, the pipeline is the safest I've heard to transport fuel and natural gas. It's the best way to transport fossil fuels. And as far as technology is concerned, if there's a leak in the pipeline, it could be detected like that. It's not like old technology when the leak possibly could be overlooked. Nowadays with technology, I mean, if a leak starts, boom, they're right on it. And as far as them canceling the pipeline, Biden and his cronies, you got to follow the money. Warren Buffett, he owns the railroad. If he can't transport fuel on his railroad, he loses money. So yes, follow the money, people. It ain't always about the environment. You just got to follow the money. What else? What else? Well, I'll try to get off the politics. I don't want to turn people off. Anyways, today I was thinking about some of the things I used to do on YouTube. The other day I was thinking of making a sequel to that Turdinator 1000 methane gas furnace video. This time it would be the Turdinator 5000. Unlike the Turdinator 1000, this new furnace could connect to the internet and you could get 24-hour assistance. You might have to talk to guys from Nigeria, but it's assistance. And I mean, a technical furnace that burns shit. And plus the new one will burn cat shit. Because if you think about it, cat shit has a higher ammonia content. And you would think that the cat shit would burn hotter. So yeah, I thought of making a sequel to that video. Yeah, those were the good old days back years ago when YouTube didn't. Um, Back then, it used to be broadcast yourself. Nowadays, that slogan has gone to the wayside. You can't really do anything. You can't really do everything on video. As far as me singing back then, I used to love to do that, even though I was a laughing stock. Um, I would sing along like in a karaoke way to songs, um, like regular songs that were copyrighted, and YouTube didn't like that, so they kept on censoring my video. Um, I couldn't sing along to the song, even though I was singing over the lyrics of the song. So yeah, I mean that kind of put the kibosh on that. I remember years ago, before I started singing, there was this one guy that would play bongos to like different like classic rock hits. He was really good. He he banged the bongos to Crosby, Stills and Nash "Carry On," which was really cool. But I imagine YouTube put the kibosh on him too, saying that he couldn't play bongos to musical hits, even though he was playing over the beats and the lyrics and stuff. Um, yeah, whatever. But yeah, there was some fun times on YouTube back then. Um, yeah. What else? There was back that yeah, yeah. That was plenty of good times. I remember once I made a fake account, and for months I had Cranky V and Cool Blue Lights under suspense. Uh, they didn't know who this account was from, and I had them under suspense for a long time. And then Duke, I forgot his YouTube name. He's not really on YouTube anymore, but I think his account is probably still on YouTube. Um, he was a friend of Tom or Cranky V, and he said to me is he one day he was just like, I think that account is you, and it sort of just came out. It was funnier than hell. I had them under suspense for just a long time. It was funny. So yeah, they thought this account that was like talking smack to them. They figured it out. They thought it was me for a while, and then they just spilled the beans. I think this person underneath this account is you. So yeah, um, yeah, work. Um, Work's doing all right. I kind of wish it was full time, but it's part time still. But I'm getting more hours. This year, it's kind of rough. Kids are following TikTok videos, and they just been acting out what they see on these videos as far as vandalism. Um, this year so far, we have dealt with a lot of bathroom vandalism in my school. Mainly soap dispensers most of the time. There was another time where the kids just took the ceramic urinal grates out of the urinals. They individually wrapped them and threw them in the garbage can. And thank God I found them because they were the original ceramic urinal grates from when the school was built in 1965. Even though the bathroom was remodeled, they kept the old urinals. but those ceramic urinal grates, those were kind of irreplaceable. Um, of course, American Standard probably still makes urinals, but they might not make that part anymore, or they might not have it in stock as far as new old stock. What else? Them kids are removing the screws out of the partitions. They swiped uh, the latches off the stall doors. And at my school, at my school they barricaded two boys' bathrooms already. They just gated them off, and the kids would have to go to different bathrooms to do their business, which is a walk, but it is what it is. If this stuff keeps up, they might have to get porta johns. Those portable toilets that they put on job sites, they might have to get those to put out in the parking lot for the kids. And if the kids bitch, oh well, they vandalized the bathrooms. That's the consequences. You vandalize the bathrooms, you get to go outside to go to the bathroom. I remember one of the old shop teachers told me, he retired last year, last school year. One of the old shop teachers told me, he said, he's like, we cannot have nice things around here. That's true, because you get nice things, they get wrecked. Um, yeah. I mean, yeah, we had, other than latches and screws and urinal grates and soap dispensers, um, there's been maybe like a paper towel dispenser that's been smashed here and there or wrecked. I don't know, but yeah, this year's been kind of challenging as far as that, and yeah, the administrators are getting pissed about. They got pissed, or they are pissed about that. But yeah. Mm. Yesterday, I got Roku now. I don't got cable, and I saw that they had the movie Mommy Dearest on there for free, and I was almost ready to send a link to my sister and tell her that she should maybe think of showing this to her future grandchild. um, she, I don't think she would have bit. She probably would have just laughed at it because she knows the movie. So, and she's kind of funny that way. But yeah, I think all students should be required to watch that movie. Movie night, Mommy Dearest, and have them watch the movie without no breaks. They could bring snacks in, but no breaks. Just watch the movie straight out. No more wire hangers ever. Yeah, that movie was something. That was something. But yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The kids just piss you off sometimes. But it's a school. You just got to put up with it. Um, it is what it is. It pisses us all off when something happens. It affects us all. Oh yeah, I got another thing. My gray truck, my little gray truck, my little gray Silverado. I got a new box for it. Um, I got it from LKQ. It was $337, I think, out of the door. It was the best one I could find here in Wisconsin. There was really no rot on the sides. There was a couple puncture holes in the bed, maybe from like cargo that dented the bed and made a hole. I just cleaned those holes up or those tears, and I just buttered them up with some JB Weld, and it helped. And that JB Weld held in there pretty good. And I sprayed the quarter panels of the bed with undercoating, and yeah, that old bed was just falling apart. There was a hole up against the back of the bed underneath the bed mat. It's a common place for them to rot out, and plus the quarter panels. They For as many years as I've owned that truck now, a few years, it seemed like each year that rust was climbing up. And I see all these Silverado trucks, these same trucks on the road with rotten quarter panels on the beds, and some people just cut them out. And it looks like garbage. Yeah, at LKQ, I had my eye on this white bed. There was a little bit of rust on it. I had my eye on that one, and then all of a sudden they got that other Silverado and that black Silverado. So I looked at the one as far as the black Silverado, and I was really pleased at the quarter panels on it. And as far as the bed itself, other than those two tears, it was in remarkable shape. For Wisconsin, it was a really good bed. There was a little bit of rust on the lower rails underneath the bed part, the frame area. There was some rust on that, but otherwise the bed wasn't that bad. It's dented up a little bit, but for the price I paid for it, it was cheap. I mean, um, for something that's just got like a few dents, that's not really a big deal for what I paid for it. Um, yeah, I had put my light wiring um, in the bed. I had to see what happened is that guy when I went to go look at the bed the first time, the guy that Spanish guy, the one that was taking the tail lights out of the bed, instead of like unhooking the bulbs, he clipped the wires on them. So all that was left was just a harness without any bulb sockets. So I had to take all my tail light wiring from the old bed and transfer it to the new bed, which was not really a big deal. But yeah, I mean that was kind of asinine, but a lot of people probably do that. But yeah, that I mean a lot of beds you see on Marketplace and Craigslist, they could run from $500 to the worst condition one to one that's mint that's over $1,000. Yeah, pickup truck beds are not cheap, and for what I paid, I got a really good deal on that one. I got a really good deal for what I paid. Um, so yeah, I got a gray truck, gray Silverado with a black bed. Um, yeah, well, at least I'm not snagging my jacket or my sweatshirt or my flannels on that bed on those quarter panels. At least I'm not doing that anymore. And here's the thing about LKQ. They don't do the half off sales anymore. And I talked to a guy out in a parking lot when I was at LKQ about that. And he was like, yeah, it's because of COVID. Everything's going up. Um, yeah, I mean, it seems like, um, yeah, they used to have the half off holidays or the 40% off holidays. They used to have those 40% off days. And then all of a sudden they just stopped doing them. And I was hoping to get a bed for half of the price I paid for it. But apparently not anymore. Yeah, I mean, I've seen they had a hiring sign in the lobby at LKQ. So maybe they're dealing with worker shortages too. Maybe they're having hard times. I don't know. I don't know what goes on over there. But one thing, the old bed of my truck, what I did, as far as transferring, first of all, before I get to that, um, as far as like transferring the bed from LKQ to my home, I had to rent a U-Haul, and that ran me about $25, which is not a big deal for what I paid for the bed. That $25 was just like a spit in a bucket. It's not a big deal. So I had to rent a U-Haul to get it there. And as far as the old bed, I really didn't want to rent a U-Haul again. So what I did was I chopped it up with a Sawzall. I cut it right in half. I did save a couple pieces of metal off of it just in case I redo the rocker panels on the gray truck. The top parts of the bed were the top parts of the quarter panels of the bed where it was still good. I cut those off on each side. I saved those. And the rest of it, I just sawed in half and put in back of the red truck and took it over there. And I got my $50 back, my core. And while I was doing that, there was a Spanish guy that was purchasing a roof for a Honda car. He sawed the roof off. And I remember before he paid for it, LKQ, the employees, they ripped the airbag out of the roof of the car, roof, because there was an airbag in the roof. So, anyways, they ripped the airbag out of it, and this Spanish guy seemed to be having a hard time moving this roof of this for this car. And I told him before I got paid for my core, I told him, I'm like, I would help you. And I thought he got help before he walked out of the door. Apparently not. I get out to the parking lot. I was ready to leave. And I saw that he was trying to load the car roof in back of this Ford Escape. He bought this big roof for his Honda, and he did not have enough room in back of his Ford Escape to haul it home. And he looks at my truck and he was just like, how much? And I was like, where do you live? And then he told me where he lived, and it wasn't too far away from LKQ. And I told him $25. I'll follow you home, and we could unload the roof, and you pay me my $25, and I'll be gone. So yeah, I drove the roof to his house. We unloaded it, and I got my $25, and yeah, making money, easy money. That was awesome. And I go to him when I was, have a good day, Michael. Have a good night. Happy New Year. When we were out in the driveway of his house, I asked him, I was just like, are you sure you're going to get this precise enough? Because when you're replacing a roof on a car, you got to have everything precise so the windows fit correctly and all this stuff. And he was like, yeah, oh yeah, I could do it. Yeah. And my brother, he lives across the alley from some Spanish people. And from what he says, these Spanish people take very good pride in their vehicles. They take really good pride in their these racers or whatever they own. As far as doing repairs, they're really on top of things. And replacing a roof on a car. I imagine you got to be really precise. Otherwise, if you're not precise, the windows are not going to fit correctly, and it's just going to look like shit. I imagine you probably got to clamp it. You got to have the cuts just right. And then you got to clamp it in place and tack it in place and all this mind shit. And all you got to figure out all the geometry and all this stuff. But yeah, from what I heard, it seems like Spanish people take good pride in their vehicles as far as repairing them. Yeah. What else? "12:01 a.m. I missed the local ball drop. I watched the 11 o'clock one for Times Square. Out in New York, it's 12 o'clock over there versus 11 o'clock over here. Yeah. Oh yeah. My testing video for this cam. A guy asked me if I still had the Buick Century. The answer is no. About a year and a half to 2 years after I did that rear end repair, after I replaced the rear end in that Buick Century, I just had to junk it because the rust got to a point that the rust got so bad that it got to a point that it was just unsafe to drive. Um, where the unibot, where the trailing arm by the rear end connects to the unibody, there's like a block. It sits like on the side of the rocker panel. That block was really rusted, and I noticed it was cracked vertically. And the rust was spreading into the rocker panel. So driving that car was kind of like an accident waiting to happen. It's strange. The rest of the car wasn't, as far as rust underneath, it was in great shape. It's just that undercarriage was all rusted. It was really rusted up. There was holes in the wheel wells, the rear wheel wells. It was spreading to the shock mounts. Yeah. And when I seen that car at LKQ after I junked it, because they move everything with forklifts, and when they moved the car to the yard with a forklift, all the rust that was like on the rocker panels and stuff, it just got knocked away. And seeing that car without the rocker panels and the rust being knocked away, it just made me feel relieved that I got rid of that car when I did. Because if I would have kept on driving it, what if that trailing arm would have gave out? I could have gotten into an accident. And that's when you need to just get rid of stuff because it just you can't repair it after a while. The rust just gets so bad that you just got to get rid of it for your own sanity and your own sake. You don't want to get into an accident as far as something rusting out. After learning about like what happens on the East Coast as far as like annual vehicle inspections, as far as like them having yearly inspections, over here, I think us not having them is great, but over there, they go through a lot more worse winters than us in Wisconsin, and plus they use a lot more salt, which wreaks havoc on vehicle bodies. So yeah, I mean, I could see the point of them having vehicle inspections because yes, they use a lot more salt. Their winters are much more harsher. Yeah. Um, but yeah, the Buick, I just had to get rid of that. And the last drive I took it on before I drove it to LKQ, I was just having so much fun. I didn't want to drive it to the LKQ, but I had to. And when I parked it over by the new arrival vehicle area at the yard, after I parked it, they wanted me to move it behind the building. And the battery was such crap that when I parked it, the car wouldn't start again. So I told them, I'm just like, the battery's dead. The car won't start. And they were just like, that's no big deal. So I just took my plates off and took the bus home. But yeah, I mean, rust gets to a point where it just wreaks havoc on the body of your vehicles, and your vehicle just gets unsafe to drive. Um, every year since I've owned my red truck, I've been um, oiling the frame with old motor oil. I just been taking an old like garden sprayer. I've been diluting it. I've been diluting the old motor oil with like water or kerosene or gasoline or whatnot, and I just spray the frame down. I just soak it to hell. Fuel lines, brake lines, all that. And so far, the frame's been holding up pretty good as far as it's staying away from rust. It's been remaining remaining hardly with any rust. I mean, it's got its rust, but not as bad compared to other Silverados I've seen. I remember when I got that truck, my brother was looking at it. He was like, "Wow, this frame's in pretty good shape." And I told him I paid extra for that, and he thought I paid too much for the truck to begin with. And then when he started looking for trucks for himself again, he went to me. He was just like, "God, these trucks, they cost so damn much." And yeah, I mean, I was thinking, yeah, I mean, my truck had holes in the rocker panels when I bought it, but the frame looked good, and I paid extra for that because I seen all these trucks with rusted out frames, and yeah, but yeah, me and my neighbor were talking about fluid film. We were talking about that because he has a Silverado too. He has I think it's an '05 um, Chevy Duramax. It's the 2500, and he has been dealing with rust issues. The frame, I think, is all right, but his body is just going to hell. His rocker panel rust. When you open up the door, you look at the rocker panel, the inner rocker panel, where the door jamb, like where the door jamb is on the bottom. You could see like the corrosion that because he like cut some of it out. There's like a nice hole right in the jamb of the door on the bottom. Yeah, yeah, I've seen plenty of videos as far as like what's that? What's that guy's name? Yeah, the 2500 frames. My brother said that they're a lot more beefier than the 1500. And the 1500s, they have problems with them cracking. I think that's because they probably just overload them. Um, for one thing, the extended cab, the frame is longer. And I think the reason why they crack is because there's such a long span between the cab and between the cab and the bumper that when they overload the trucks, it just puts strain right on the frame, and the frames crack. Yeah. What's that guy's name? I'm trying to think. He had a couple Toyotas. One of the Toyotas, uh, Musty One. Yeah, that's the guy's name. Um, he had a few Toyotas, and I remember this one he had. This not a Tacoma. I think it was either either was a Tundra or a T100, and he patched up the frame on that one a bunch of times. It was just like patches all the way around the frame. I mean, he did a great job as far as like repairing the frame. But yeah, he sure did a lot of repair work to that frame. I mean, the truck itself looked great, but the frame was shit. Eventually, he just got another truck. Yeah, every Silverado, the cab corners and the rocker panels, both of my trucks are like that. Um, I I think my brother said that they don't drain right. They get trapped with crap, and it just rusts them out. Yeah, that's what sucks about salt. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I bought that in 2001 with 39,000 miles. It was the first closest to new car I've ever owned. It was mint when I got it. I got it off a coworker whose mother-in-law had Alzheimer's disease. And back then, if I knew back then what I know now, I would have took better care of the undercarriage. And I possibly could have been still driving it. Who knows? Um, yeah. I mean, I didn't put a hell of a lot of miles on that car when I junked it. It may have had 128,000 miles. I mean, I had other vehicles to use other than that. Buick Century, 1993. But yeah, the rust just ate it away. I mean, I took good care as far as like knocking the excess snow off the body and making sure it got underbody flushes every once in a while, and that never stopped the rust, and it just went to crap. And it got to a point that it just got unsafe to drive, and I had to get rid of it. Yeah, yeah, the salt. Yeah, the red Silverado has 171,000 miles on it. I think now. I just changed the oil in it. 171. Hopefully, it'll last a while yet. If the transmission still is working till past 225,000 miles, I'll be happy. Oh yeah, yeah, I do got the errands ready. Um, I got it ready the other day because we had a little bit of snowfall. The forecast on the news, it was kind of wishy washy, but it ended up to be not shit. There wasn't much snow. It was like less than an inch. And I was out there in the garage just getting the snowblower ready. Um, I left it outside all summer. I know I neglected it. I know I did, but the strange thing is during late summer, I went to go start it. I cracked the fuel valve open, pressed the primer down, pulled it a few times, and it ran like it normally did. And the other day, it had trouble starting. I think it was because there was stale fuel in the bowl. Because when I took the bowl off, there was all like water droplets in the fuel as far as on the bottom of the bowl. So I cleaned the bowl out. I flushed the tank out, flushed the line out. Um, and I ran it, and it ran pretty good. So I'm ready. I changed the oil in it. I filled up the tires. I greased up the innards as far as like the what's that? The drive wheel, that carriage. I greased that. I oiled up the chain. Um, I checked the gear case oil. It does leak a little bit of gear case oil. Um, it's kind of a pain in the ass to like repair that leak, so I just top it off every season. When I was at the scrapyard a couple of weeks ago, there was this 8 horsepower Aaron sitting there. It was maybe a 1980s model. It was the orange and black version. Um, the half of the engine was missing. It was an 8 horsepower one, but everything else seemed to be solid. I was just tempted to ask the guys like how much they wanted for it. But the last time I tried buying something from there, they turned me down. They said that we can't sell stuff at there anymore. But that's been a while, and maybe they'd be a little lenient. But I was afraid to ask them, so I just let the snowblower sit. But that would have been a good project. I have a couple 8 horsepower engines in my garage that I could have used possibly as a replacement for that. Um, the scraper on that one looked like it was brand new. Um, yeah, I was tempted, but they don't sell things at the scrapyard like they did a while back. I think they should just just have a small area like a corral area where they could just gather up all the good shit, and then people could come over and just spend like a fraction above scrap price for these items. I've seen plenty of old rototillers there. Um, that's one thing that sells really good in the springtime. If decent running rototillers, people are starting to work on their yards. They'll have a big yard project, and they would need something to till the ground with, and instead of renting a tiller from your local home center, they could just buy one off of Marketplace or Craigslist, and they could get their use out of it, and then they could sell it, and then they'll earn their money back for how much they paid for it if it wasn't too much. Um, yeah, like that last rototiller I sold, that one I bought at an estate sale a while back. That MTD, I think it was an MTD one. It was purchased new in 1991. I got it at the last day of the estate sale, and it was marked 120, and I got it for half price. I got it for like 60, and I sold it for 150. I did not do anything to it. The thing started and ran perfect, and I did not do anything to that one. And I sold it days later for 150 bucks. It came with the original owner's manual, instructions, the original receipt. That was an awesome buy. That was a buy I really enjoyed. Um, but the person that bought it, the guy that bought it, I don't know what he was going to do with it. Maybe he was, excuse me, maybe he was going to do something in his yard with it. Who knows? Maybe he was going to create a new flower bed or something. I have no idea. But um, after he got done with that tiller, maybe he possibly looked into selling it. Who knows? I have no idea. Um, yeah, yeah. Instead of renting them, you could just go out and buy one and then resell it when you're done. Um, yeah, yeah. Troy-Bilt. Yeah, Troy-Bilt. Was it a? It must. It probably was. If it was a Troy-Bilt, it was probably rear tine, if I'm correct, right? I don't know. Usually the rear tine ones they sell for a lot more, And plus, the rear tine ones, they don't wreak havoc on your body. The one I have, that 1976 Garden King, I mean, that thing really shakes, but it does a good job. But the rear tine ones, they're easier to handle than those front tine ones. But yeah, rototillers, that's one thing I look out for, cheap rototillers. As far as lawnmower sales, this past summer I didn't do a really decent profit on them. I wonder if it had something to do with those electric mowers coming out, because I've been seeing a lot more of them. Um, I I don't know. I have mixed reviews about those electric lawnmowers. I don't know. I just have mixed reviews on them. Um, One drawback is, yeah, these people buy the mowers, but when the battery goes to crap, they're more than likely going to get sticker shock when they got to buy a new battery. I mostly just sell on Marketplace right now. I haven't sold on Craigslist in a long time. Matter of fact, I think Craigslist kicked themselves in the ass. Um, I remember back when I used to sell on there, back when the whole Craigslist thing began. Um, Craigslist wasn't charging dealers to list or post stuff for sale on their site. They should have been charging these dealers to post, like employers, if they want to put a now hiring posting on Craigslist. Yeah, if they want to, back then, if an employer wanted to put a help wanted posting on Craigslist, they had to pay. And I think the car dealers should have been charged the same. Here, I mean, you got the car dealers, particularly new car dealers, not such the corner car dealers. These new car dealers, they were posting on Craigslist, posting their vehicles on Craigslist for sale, and Craigslist wasn't probably charging them. And that was money that the Craigslist could have been making. Instead, they just kicked the can down the road. Craigslist should have been charging them dealers from day one to post their vehicles for sale. And now they're charging everybody $5 a listing, which I think is bullcrap. They could have just charged the dealers. And as far as the independently owned people, they could I don't know. I did hear that about the $600. Um, yeah, I don't accept. Maybe once in a while I'll accept PayPal, but most of the time, as far as person to person transactions, I mostly just accept cash. That's the way I've always done it. There's been times where I just had little things for sale, and there would be people living in northern Wisconsin that would want the item I had posted. So they would notify me saying, how much would the shipping be to this zip code from your zip code? And I would get it calculated, and I would send them a message saying, here's my email address. Um, Send me the payment through PayPal. And yeah, that's the way I would do it, but rarely I would do that. Um, Usually it's just cash. I rarely sell like small items. I mostly just sell larger items like power equipment, or maybe the occasional stereo or vacuum cleaner. Um, Bartered or traded. Here's my opinion about that. I think, I mean, you probably could make up pretty good on that, but you gotta watch out for yourself. There's a lot of people out there that um, just would want to trade you their crap versus the gold you got. You know, um, yeah, you got to do your research. I mean, maybe somebody has something worthwhile that you want for something that they want or whatever, and you got to do your research of what they're giving away because what they're giving away could be a total crap item. You don't want to get ripped off. You got to do your research. Um, yeah. Oh yeah, just before here's a story. It's not really a bartering story, but just before my just when my mom moved into assisted living before I bought the house, I needed some money, so I dug up some of my old um stereo equipment that I had of value. And there was this one piece I had. It was a vintage Pioneer Spec 2 amplifier. I found it during spring cleanup. It was a little beat up, but it was whole. There was no broken glass on the dial. The faceplate was a little beat up, but otherwise, it was a whole piece of equipment. The thing is it didn't work, and I looked up the value on those, and the values were pretty sky high on those. Non-working ones were going for big money. And for the longest time, I didn't know what to sell it for. I wanted to sell it, but I just let it sit in the basement. I just didn't know what to sell it for. And then all of a sudden, I needed money and I decided on a price. I saw a unit on eBay that was just like it. But the unit on eBay, it looked like something was dropped on it, but it still sold for big money. It sold for 250 bucks. This old vintage Pioneer amplifier, the case was all crushed. It looked like it was dropped or something fell on it. But somebody bought it for 250 bucks with shipping. So I decided to list mine for 250 bucks. I figured marketplace is a local thing. People would like to save money buying on marketplace versus spending a lot on eBay as far as shipping. So I listed that amplifier on marketplace, and I got a bunch of responses. And then I got this guy that was really, really interested in it. So he comes over here and he sees the amplifier, and he was just like, "This amplifier is in worse shape than the picture showed." And I'm thinking, dude, um, it's a cheap amplifier. It's supposed to be a beat up. It doesn't work. It doesn't turn on. It needs restoration. So he wanted to look at the inside of the amplifier. So I gave him a screwdriver and we both unscrewed the top, and he wanted to look on the inside and he wanted to make sure all the electrical components were on the board and everything. And that's understandable. I mean, that's no problem. And even at 250 bucks, which was a good deal for that, he tried talking me down on the price. And I told him, no, go on eBay right now. Completed listings. You see that one for 250 bucks. And that one looked like it was dropped it looked like it was dropped or something fell on it because the case was crushed. And he still kept on trying to Jew me down on the price. And I told him, no, 250 bucks or you walk. So he paid me the 250 bucks. And the thing that he was most concerned about was the condition of the faceplate. But for what he paid for it, He got himself a good deal. A matter of fact, he also bought a turntable from me a couple weeks later, which he also paid big money for. And I asked him how the amplifier was, and he was like, "Yeah, my tech's fixing it right now. He's gonna put a brand new faceplate on it. He's gonna redo all the electronics, and I expect to spend over $700 in repairs to this thing when it's done." Now I'm thinking, whoa. But if he bought one already restored, he would have been paying over $1,000. Instead, he bought a used one for me for $250, and then he spent $700 plus restoring it. He probably buying it from me was cheaper versus buying an already restored one. So yeah. Yeah, I still work at the school. I mentioned that earlier in my video. It's still part-time, but I'm getting more hours. Whatever single job, you just gotta grin and bear it. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, but these buyers, you gotta be tough with them. I never really thought of snow plowing. Yeah, but that would be good money. My former late neighbor across the alley, he used to do concrete work during the spring and summertime, and during the winter time he would do snow removal. And his family helped him a lot, and he also had workers, which some were just worthless, some were just drunks and were not really reliable. He couldn't count on them. But yeah, he had jobs where he had to haul snowblowers around, and he had to use his plow truck. And for me, I just would love to plow, sitting in a vehicle, just plowing. I mean, I would love that. But as far as like doing shoveling and snow blowing, that's for the birds. I'd rather just plow. Have the owners or whatever of the facility or plowing at have them just snow blow and shovel. I'd rather sit in a warm truck. I'm just a lazy fuck. But yeah, yeah. Happy New Year. Um, yeah. When I first started selling online, um, over time I learned you got to be tough on people. You got to be tough on people. If you have something that's hot, if you have something that everybody wants, act tough on your price. Be competitive as far as your pricing. Don't price it too much. Don't price it too little. Price it just right, but stay firm on your price. If you got something that's hot, because you got something that they want. That's my tactic. That's my saying. That's my slogan. You have something that they want, and don't price it excessively. Don't price it too little. Price it reasonably, competitively, and stay firm on that price. And don't let people take advantage of you. And and then people wonder, why are people such assholes? Because these people that are assholes, they're sticking up for themselves. They don't want to be taken advantage of. I mean, I'm a nice person, but I'm also tough. I stand up for myself. Yeah, the Astro van, yeah, that was a good van. Um, the problem with those vans was the rear suspension. the problems with those vans is the rear suspension. Um, what GM should have done is they should have had like multiple leaves for the leaf springs. They should have had multiple leaves instead of those fiberglass single monoleaves, because that was a problem I had. I was hauling heavy loads in there, and over time the fiberglass just started splintering. But later on, during the last years of during the last years of the Astro and Safari, made they improved the rear suspension. Uh, they put multiple leaves as far as leaf springs on the back. GM nowadays, them switching to these new vehicle companies switching to electric vehicles. I just cannot see that happening. You pay so much for the electric vehicle, and a lot of people can't afford that. I remember when I think when the Prius came out, I think that might have been the first hybrid. I remember when those cars first came out, if that was the car, the government was the government was offering a rebate if you would buy one of these hybrid cars, but you would pay out of the nose for the car more than a regular passenger car, a new gasoline passenger car. So yeah, I mean that was the catch. You spend more for you spend more for an electric vehicle, and the government gives you a rebate. Bunch of bullshit. But yeah, I just don't. I mean, yeah, I mean, as far as I mean, there's electric cars, electric lawnmowers, um, electric weed whackers, battery operated stuff. But as far as the internal combustion vehicle, I just don't see the conversion happening. I mean, eventually it probably will happen. There would be more electric cars on the road, but I don't know. Right now, I just don't see it. Not in the next 30 years or 20 years. I don't know. Hopefully, I'll be dead by then. Yeah, the truck gets about 13 to 14. Both the two-wheel drive and the four-wheel drive, they're about year to year on gas mileage. So yeah, it's about 13 or 14. It's I think it's all right, the gas mileage. Some people may think it's bad. I mean, yeah, for a truck. I mean, I've heard people. I knew this guy from my last job. He used to drive his son's um, mid to late '90s Chevy 350 truck, and he said that he got about 10 miles to the gallon using that thing. So yeah, that was for a fuel injected truck. That wasn't good. Yeah. What else can I talk about it? Yeah, I'm still scrapping. Matter of fact, I got the mother load as far as like wiring the other day. Um, my sister, she has a place in Florida. She was vacationing there for the new year, so I needed a babysitter cat, and it's not far away from here. And a block away, I decided to drive through one of the nearby alleys. and there was this pile of wire that I found. Um, Whoever threw it out, maybe it was doing a construction job or something. It was stuff that maybe you would put in conduit. I don't know. A lot of heavy wire. I mean, it was thin wire, but there was hordes of it. And yeah, that was the mother load. Yeah, I got a lot of wiring. And plus, I have some cord stuff in the garage that I got to go through yet. I also got a hoard of brass I got to sort through too. Um, yeah, I should be getting a big payout on hoarding scrap pretty soon once I cash it in. Yeah, yeah. I don't. As far as scrapping, I don't drive around all the time looking for scrap. I don't drive around my city every single day or every single week. I don't do that because it's just a waste of gas money. I mean, yeah, scrap is up right now, but you drive so much and then you waste so much gas for not really picking up anything. Maybe once in a while somebody has something on Facebook that they put up by the road and they'll just post it and I'll pick it up. I don't know what the price a pound is. I go to two different scrap yards. That as far as as far as cashing in steel scrap, um, as far as cashing in steel scrap, I stick with the one in my city. But if I'm cashing in valuable metals or precious metals, I go to a different one in Milwaukee, which is not too far away. And they give you receipts of how much you cash in per pound, which is nice. The other scrapyard doesn't give you a receipt, but I think they go by the ton. Um, I don't know. I don't know how the scrapyard of my city figures out prices. I figured there's a lot of steel scrap around, and I got a nearby place to cash it in, rather than driving around looking for the best price. I'll just cash it in there. Yeah, yeah. Mowers selling kind of slow this summer. I used to sell used mowers. Um, I don't usually strip my wiring. No, it's just too much work. I usually just take it in with a because the amount of time I spend stripping the wire, um, I'm better off just cashing it in. Plus I don't got a machine for that. Um, yeah, a lot of people just cash it in with the insulating on it. I just like doing that better. Have them deal with the rest of that. It'd be nice to find some like Romex. I mean, that's that's where the big money is. But I mean, I got Romex around, but that's for my projects in case I need it. Um, I might possibly have another wiring project. Who knows? And it's good to have the Romex around rather than scrapping it because if you buy it from the store, it probably costs so much. And let's say if you need like 2 feet of it, you already got 2 feet of it in the garage rather than you going to like a big box store or a home center and spending so many dollars on a box of Rolex feet of it, which you don't need. I mean, yeah, that extra Rolex comes in handy. Yeah, but yeah, I kind of wish I had like let's see. I mean, I like to repair things for profit, it'd be nice to like have like a 220 like outlet in my garage for like testing out appliances like dryers and stoves and stuff, because in the past I always profited pretty good off of used appliances. I sold a few fridges. I sold a like brand new freezer that I found in the trash that worked. Upright freezer. It was just taking room in the garage. That's why they put it by the road. Came with the key taped on the top. I sold that thing for $225. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I like to fix appliances. And it'd be nice to have like an outlet where you could test appliances on. Um, but as far as electric stoves, selling them, it's kind of like a gray area thingy. Um, there's this new Habitat for Humanity restore that just opened up near me, and electric stoves, like older ones, they have a. I mean, they do sell, but they don't sell as fast compared to the like the flat top ones. Most of the ones with the cow rods on them, they don't sell as well versus the ones with the flat top glass. In my opinion, electric stoves are kind of a pain in the ass. I've been using gas all my life because that's what I grew up with is gas stoves, and I'm used to using those. So, um, and plus, I think, in my opinion, they're less failure prone than electrics are. This stove right here in my kitchen, it's about 20 years old now, and the igniter was replaced twice, and it's an easy job to replace. You just buy the part on eBay. It's like $20, and you just you replace it, and yeah, it's on the second igniter. You just I remember the last time I went dead, I put a couple test probes in the wire caps for the igniter, and I just turned on the oven. And once I seen the voltage go up, I was like, "Yep, it's the igniter." Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, and yes, electric dryers too. They seem to be a lot more failure prone than gas dryers. The gas dryer I have in my basement, it's my Kenmore. It was made by Whirlpool, and that thing is probably about 33 years old, maybe. It was my sister's before she moved up north, and she moved up north in like '89, I think. And they used electric appliances up there, so they couldn't use the gas up there. So um, her and my brother-in-law, they sold the gas dryer to my mom. So and that one, I had to replace like a couple pulleys, and I cracked the igniter once. I had to replace it, but otherwise, no timer problems. It's a little noisy, but I've grown to get used to it. You grease the roller shafts, you lubricate them, you replace the roller shafts. It may be quiet for a while, but after a while, the noise just comes back, and it doesn't create a lot of racket. It may make the noise just for a few seconds after it starts, but I'll just put up with it. Not a big deal. But yeah, it seems like electric appliances are more failure prone than gas ones. And yeah, it'd be nice to have like a 220 outlet in the garage, because a lot of these appliances that people throw out, these electric ones, they probably just need minor repairs. And then you could just sell them for 75 to $100 once you fix them. Yeah, I like Harbor Freight tools. As a matter of fact, I just bought a couple ratchet straps from there. The king size ones, um, the big, thick ratchet straps, because just in case I got to haul something with my truck, I wanted big, thick straps to strap whatever cargo I have down with. So, yeah, I bought the straps and, yeah, whatever. Just something to have. I would like to get another pair of ramps. Um, Quite a few years back, I bought a pair of ramps. Um, I bought them when I had my Astrovan, and then I later used them with my Dodge Dakota truck to haul my snowblower in. And yeah, they were just in the back of the truck or in the yard, and some assholes stole them. And now they're a lot more expensive in price. Um, I think back then when I bought them, they were under $60 for the pair, and now they're like 70 plus. I don't know, but yeah, that really sucks. Maybe I'll spend a little bit more next time and get the folding ones because I didn't have folding ones. The folding ones are a lot more flimsier than the solid metal ones, but they're probably easier to store. One thing I've been noticing lately is Harbor Freight has been like they've been having an ad posted on Facebook comparing their Daytona Jack to the one that Snap On sells. Apparently, they're both the same Jack by the same manufacturer, but the Harbor Freight one is more cheaper than the Snap On one is. Um, my brother, he's a mechanic. He repairs forklifts. He Back when he was in a community college in the early '90s, studying automotive stuff. He got ASC certified, and then um, I think he got a degree in computerized engine controls. And getting into the field, he didn't like the field. He did not like the politics as far as like the automotive industry and dealer crap and all this stuff. And he just took his credentials and he became a forklift mechanic. He took his knowledge and his credentials, and that helped him get that job. And yeah, what I was going to say. And he told me not long ago, he was just like he told me not too long ago, he said that Snap On could eventually go under, because there's places like Harbor Freight Tools that are selling similar tools to what Snap On sells on their truck. And my brother last time, I mean, he's got his toolbox. He's got enough toolboxes in his garage and in his work van. Um, he's got enough tools, and he said if he had to buy another toolbox, he'd buy one from Harbor Freight Tools, which kind of surprised the hell out of me. You'd buy one at Harbor Freight Tools versus buying one from Snap On or buying one from the tool trucks, whatever. But yeah, it was surprising to hear him say that. Yeah. Um, did I have any good New Year snack? Yeah, I had some Clement's snack summer sausage, and um, I had what's that? A shrimp ring. I ate quite a few pieces of shrimp, but I put them in the refrigerator. I didn't want them sitting on the counter for too long. So usually, the sausage and crackers is kind of like my New Year's Eve snack, and 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 uh, and the shrimp is kind of like a bonus. So yeah, shrimp ring. Usually, I eat shrimp like maybe once a year. Other than I've been grilling with it. I've been grilling steaks with it. I usually buy the raw shrimp and I would like dip it in olive oil and season it and stuff and grill it on the grill at my steak. And that was really good. Other than that, I mostly just eat shrimp like once or twice a year. After all, it costs so much, and it's mostly just a holiday thing for me eating it. No, I never tried the Culver shrimp. I mostly just eat burgers from there. Um, yeah, Culver's is good eating. I go there once in a while just to have like a Culver's burger with some onion rings and a drink. Um, for a while, it kind of sucked during COVID, during the shutdown. They shut down the lobby of the restaurant. They were mostly just doing carry out orders and so forth. And it sucked because I usually love to eat in the Culver's establishment, just sitting at a table by myself and eating and enjoying my meal. But for a while, Culver's was locking the lobby down. But up until several months ago, they opened the lobbies back up again. The Culver's fish fry, I should try it. I thought of trying that. But I'm so hooked on other fish fries around here that the family restaurants have been offering that I've been just overlooking Culver's. There's one bar and grill that's near here. They have deep fried walleye, and the pieces are like huge. From what I've heard, um, the COVID cases are they're kind of high right now. Matter of fact, before because I'm on vacation right now, I've been on vacation all week. Um, they were supposed to have a choir concert, and due to most of the kids getting COVID, they ended up canceling the concert because I was gonna collect the garbage in the choir room, and I saw that the choir director was walking out. He was like, "Have a good night," and I was like, "Aren't you staying here?" And he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Isn't there a concert?" And he's like, "No, the concert was canceled because the kids got COVID." I'm like, "Holy shit!" And yeah, that last day of school, I went into the band room too. I went into the band room office. There wasn't any garbage thrown out whatsoever. Apparently, the director might have been out. There was not any classroom garbage in the classroom either. So maybe the band got sick with COVID too. Who knows? And I was talking with my brother-in-law, and I guess his school has got hit pretty hard with it too. Um, yeah. The mask thing, and I have mixed opinions about that. Um, People always say, wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask. But most of these masks, um, they're made from different types of materials. I say sometimes If you could smell a fart through the mask, it's not effective. Yeah, it's a real shit show. I wish I can get into more detail, but I don't want to. Um, yeah, it's a real shit show. Yeah, wearing masks. I mean, there's all different types of masks, and the ones that are effective. Um, I mean, you got people that are wearing masks. I seen one that was made out of a bra cup. When this whole COVID lockdown crap and when the COVID shit first started, I seen someone with a bra cup made into a mask. And there was also masks that were handmade from the local tailors because there's tailors in my city. They were making them for profit. There was people making them at home for profit, um, like these seamstresses that love to work with a sewing machine. They were selling them on marketplace like $8 or $15. There's all different types of masks out there, but are they really that effective? In my opinion, most of them ain't probably. Like I said, I mean, if you probably could smell a fart through a mask, it's probably not effective. G string. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, G string. It's pretty funny. Um, yeah, the mask thing. And I also do agree. There's some people that say that even though the masks may be ineffective, it's great to not wear them because it would just like make our immune systems adjust to the different type of sicknesses around. Yeah, I've seen enough of these videos of these wackos on planes that just act out because somebody's not wearing a mask or whatnot, and or if their politics are different. It's just a big shit show. Um, I watch this guy Mark Dice a lot on YouTube, and he has this store you can go to buy some of his apparel and products, and he's offering an Arrest Dr. Fauci T-shirt. I thought of getting that one. I seen somebody making a comment saying that they got the shirt and they were wearing it in public, and they got a lot of compliments on the shirt. A matter of fact, someone took a selfie with him wearing the shirt, which was pretty cool. Pretty cool thought. Um, but yeah, these masks, I just have a mixed opinion about them. They're made out of different materials, and probably most are not effective. And plus, another thing too, they get dirty. Um, and yeah, I mean, if they get dirty, you got to throw them out and wear new ones because the ones that you're keeping on wearing, they could have germs on them. What I call them is Doctor, what's that? Foxy, Fox, FAUXI. That's what I call him. He just creates a lot of fear mongering. He's like flip flopping. That's what I don't like about him. He changes his stories all the freaking time. Yeah, changes his stories all the time. That's what I don't like about him. Um, oh, And here's another thing, talking about COVID. You get these politicians that are giving the public advice on how to stay safe from getting COVID. They tell you to wear a mask. And then you see them out in public from these public videos that people shot with their phones. You'd see them out in public and they wouldn't be wearing masks. Like you'd see Chris Cuomo, the CNN guy, the former CNN guy, and I've seen Bill de Blasio too. They would give you all this advice about keeping safe from COVID when they would be out in public, just not wearing any masks. Bunch of hypocrites. And now they just caught Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC. Apparently, she's been vacationing in Florida. And somebody took a photograph of her with her boyfriend, and she was drinking a margarita or a martini at a table with her boyfriend, and she wasn't wearing a mask. And Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, he's a Republican, and AOC is so against his type of people, but she's got a vacation in Florida where he's governor, and she doesn't get to wear a mask. Hypocrisy at its finest. Fuck. Yeah. Hypocrisy. That's my favorite word. Hypocrite. Hypocrisy. It's just like in the past when my mom was living here, my siblings would come to visit. They would see like a little Debbie snack on the table, or maybe some brownies that I made or some cookies that I made. And they would say out loud, they'd be just like, "Oh wow, look at this. It's so fattening. I can't have this around my house." And then a second later, they're fucking eating it on the couch. Hypocrisy at its finest. If you're so against the crap, don't eat it. And if you don't want to be seen eating it, wrap it up and steal it and walk out of my house. Pack it up, walk out of my house, and eat it like in your car, so I don't get to see you and I don't get to hear you. And that way your secret's safe. You're trying to lose weight, but you see all this tempting food, just steal it. My mom passed away so early. I mentioned that in the early in the video. She passed away in May. If you watched the video early on, I talk about it. Yeah, there's just times I miss her. But she doesn't get to suffer anymore. Me and my siblings that we're now, we're glad it's over. We're glad that she doesn't have to suffer anymore. But yeah. So yeah. And the funny thing is, if my siblings still come over here, they're always looking for something to eat. I have all these goodies around my house, and that's one thing that they look for as soon as they walk in the door. They're looking for something good to eat. If my brother's here when I'm gone at work, he texts me to tell me he's at my house. He's decided to visit the cat. Not a big deal. It's great the cat has company. And then if there's something in the refrigerator that I won't eat, or if I just been putting off eating, I'll tell him, if you're hungry, there's some leftovers in the fridge you could have. And he's always overjoyed to just eat whatever I have in the refrigerator. And plus, if there's old bananas on the table, usually I don't like to eat old bananas, but they're so cheap that I mean, if I spend 75 cents up for a bunch, and if I only ate three out of like eight, that's fine. Um, if my brother comes over, he loves old bananas, so I would tell him there's this food in the refrigerator, and then there would be some bananas on the counter on the table you could have too. Sometimes he'd be just like, how long was this food item in the refrigerator? And I'm just like, it was in there for 2 days. And I told him you could have it, and he was like, that's fine, I already ate it. Yeah, I make those nachos every so often. I have it written down in my recipe book. Usually, most of the nachos that I, most of the recipes that I really like, I would document. I would write them on a piece of loose leaf paper, and I'd write them on a piece of loose leaf paper, and I would put them in a sheet protector, and then put them in that binder. Um, Matter of fact, I gotta write a recipe for my ma's baby back ribs that she used to make. For a while, I was trying to find how she made them, and then my sister came up with a she came up with a handwritten recipe on just a small piece of paper. So I got to write that down and document that and put that in a protector. Um, I make them every so often, not too often. Especially right now, the price of beef's kind of like through the roof. Um, but I made them um, when my sister was here, staying over here from after my mom died. She was staying here to assist the family with arrangements and just attend to the family stuff. Um, I was kind of bored on what to eat, so I just made the nachos, and she really loved them. My mom used to love the nachos too. Um, yeah, they are really good. They're good with a big glass of Coke and with some what's that? Sour cream. Yeah, they're predicting over here it's 6 to 9. Hopefully, I can get out there. Um, hopefully, I can get out there before. I think it's supposed to start mid afternoon. Um, I want to pick up the yard a little bit because I've been kind of neglecting it. It looks like shit. I kind of wished I could have cleaned it up better, but yeah. I just been dealing with a lot of shit. This loss of my scooter, and then I had to put the bed on my truck, and I just was procrastinating on it. So yeah, 6 to 9 inches. I heard. All of a sudden, we'll get a dusting or just rain. But WISN 12, they've been really predicting it. They've been predicting it pretty hard, so I imagine we're probably going to get sucked, which is fine. It's winter. Um, thank God I don't put Christmas decorations outside anymore. I mean, I used to love to do that, but it's just taking them down in January and the snow and the cold, and it just ain't me. I mean, I on the bed of my truck, on the gray truck, I replaced the bed on there because it was all rusted. The quarter panels on the bed were rusted, and plus the inside of the bed had like a hole, rust hole in it. So I found a cheap bed, a cheap, really good one, and I replaced it. So, yep. I mean, I got a black bed on a gray truck now, but it looks better. And plus, I don't get to snag my flannels or my sweatshirts or my jackets on there anymore. I need a window closed down. Yeah, those Dodge Rams. I see a lot of those boxes on those Rams get pretty rusty. Yeah, I see a lot of them with the wheel well problem. I think a big problem with the Dodges is they put that plastic shit on the wheel wells and rust and salt and water get in there in between the plastic and the metal, and it just sits in there and rusts out the quarter panel. Yeah, I wish I could find a new heater control for the gray truck. The gray truck was just a work truck. It didn't come with air conditioning, so it's just a heater in there. But the control, um, it's all funky. I broke it, and it's kind of hard to find those. I mean, if you buy them on eBay, they're going to cost a lot. But if you find one at the junkyard, it's kind of difficult because a lot of the trucks were equipped with air conditioning. And for a truck not to have air conditioning, um, that's a big thing. Yeah, that Dodge Dakota had problems too with those fender flares. Matter of fact, over time I had to zip tie them on. Um, rust. Can't stand it. Just ruins your investments. If people on the East Coast, if they just keep on driving beaters, I mean, I understand why they do if they want to do that. Because if you buy something brand new, um, as far as the body is concerned, if you don't take good care of it, it just rusts. If you live on the East Coast, um, I mean, if you buy a new vehicle, maybe in 5 years it would be rusted to shit. Why spend 20 grand on something that's just going to rust? And these people that live on the East Coast, I mean, if they just want to drive rust-free beaters or beaters that don't have any rust holes or major rust issues on them, more power to them. They want to keep on driving. Dream car. I really don't have like a. I mean, um, during the summertime on Marketplace, there was a dealership in Illinois that was kind of selling a car that I really liked. Um, it was a '78 Chevy Caprice Classic station wagon. It had just shy over 100,000 miles on it. The body looked perfect. Needed a little bit of interior work, but I love old station wagons, and I particularly love the box style Chevys of that era from '77 to '90. I mostly just love the Pontiacs and the Chevys. The other ones are okay, but they just have too much chrome and crap on them. But yeah, that '78 Caprice, that was a nice car for $6,000. That $6,000 was kind of like a hard bite to chew, but for as good as that car looked, getting the interior fixed would just be a shot in a bucket. The front seat, I think, was a little tore. That's nothing. It mainly needed a carpet replacing, but those cars have such a cult following that you could find aftermarket carpeting, matching aftermarket carpeting with no problem. Um, as far as K cars, in my opinion, I think they were always neat little cars. Um, the Aries and Reliant, they were interesting cars, but they were kind of plain. I was more of a fan of like the Dodge 600 or 400 convertibles, and like the Chrysler New Yorkers, the fancy looking K cars. I always loved those. They were always neat to me. Um, but they were basically just, I mean, they were all glorified. They were all fancy, but as far as the power plants, they just seemed as cheap as a regular. They were probably built as cheap as a Reliant or Aries or something. I remember a sixth grade teacher at the local elementary school when I was in elementary school. I remember she had one of those Dodge 600 convertibles. I remember she had one of those, and at the time I thought it was pretty cool. It still is cool, but as far as like longevity, they were basically just disposable cars. Yeah, those town and country wagons are cool too. I like those. They do those Aries and Reliant cars. They do handle really well. I've driven. Um, I was learning how to drive with. There was like one of those driving schools that came to my house that my mom was paying so they could teach me how to drive. One of those driving schools, and they had a Reliant or Aries, and I remember driving that one, and they handled pretty well for a four banger car. I later drove like a Plymouth Sundance that one of my friends' coworkers had probably about 20 years ago, and that one was kind of like that one was kind of slow. Um, the K car was a lot more. It handled better and it got better pickup, better speed. Yeah, that way before I started YouTube, I had this '87 Dodge Charger. It was a coupe. Um, it was before I got the Astrovan. It was a coupe version of the Dodge Omni and Plymouth Horizon. That car was good in snow. Um, but that thing just wouldn't pass emissions at the time. Um, I had an oxygen sensor put in it. They had to retap the threads in the exhaust manifold to put the new oxygen sensor in. And I think the reason why it didn't pass emissions last time was because that oxygen sensor was crap again. So that meant they would have to like take the oxygen sensor out again and retap the threads, and I just didn't want to spend the money, and I just bought. I needed a bigger vehicle, so I had to get the van, and I just stopped driving that one. But that one handled pretty good in snow. And then several days later, the state of Wisconsin ended tailpipe emissions. So mostly it was just Um, it was mostly just on vehicles, emissions, the OBD2 cars from 96 and up. Yeah, it was just the OBD2 cars that they were testing. They didn't do tailpipe emissions anymore. Those older cars prior to 96, they were mostly just exempt from testing. That you just had to renew them every year. Yeah, that I wish they would have had that years ago because that would have saved a lot of headaches. A friend of mine, his I remember he had a 90 Chevy Lumina, and that thing was always failing emissions due to those stupid what's that? That thing was an injector eater. That thing was always eating up injectors. That 3.1. I mean, it was a good handling car, but I like muscle cars. I don't care for tuners or exotics. Um, I like my steel and chrome. I grew up during a time when a lot of those steel and chrome vehicles were on the road, and back then they were kind of like status symbols. Like today, you see somebody riding down the street on a Harley bike on a Harley motorcycle. You see like a nice decked out Harley motorcycle with the saddlebags and the chrome pipes, and it just looks really nice. You would think of those as a status symbol when you would see these older cars on the road back then. Um, in my opinion, they were considered status symbols. Um, I remember back when my sister was first shopping for cars during the 1980s. One of the cars she was looking at was like a 75 or 76 Ford Elite. It was a Torino Elite. It was at a local Chevy dealership. It was gold. That car was nice. Um, if she would have bought that, even though it would have sucked a lot of gas, it would have been more reliable than that Lynx she bought. That Mercury Lynx. But yeah, those cars back then, they were status symbols. Now they're just plain Econo boxes, no chrome. They're just boring. Um, I mean, my red truck. I mean, compared to the gray truck, I mean, it looks fancier. It's a higher end. It's a C71 package 4-wheel drive truck, and it's fully loaded as far as I know. Um, I mean, that truck would be considered a status symbol of today, but as far as the gray truck is the boring truck. It's just it resembles every single thing on the road today. Cheap econo box, boring econo box, and yeah, of course they can't make a lot of steel and chrome. They can't equip vehicles nowadays with a lot of steel and chrome because of safety, and plus it probably costs so much. Like wood graining everything, and I remember back with the K cars, you had like um, chrome accents or like polished aluminum or something or whatever they had. All these metal accents with the that accented the leather on them. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, those cars was considered status symbols. I mean, I would see a Ricer. Or, I mean, people as far as like taking their cars to car shows and stuff. Um, there's people that want to display their Ricers. I have nothing against that. But as far as like vehicles, they just turn me off. They ain't really my cup of tea. Um, I mean, yeah, I'm not interested in your painted interior and um, your big intake system, your lowered suspensions. I'm not into that. Um, I like seeing like old steel and chrome cars that were status symbols back uh, during my day and also beyond. Um, like let's say if you have an old Buick or something like from the '60s or maybe the early '70s. If you have one that's like mint shape, original shape, I mean, I think that car would get more looks at a car show versus like the muscle cars and the tuners and stuff, because it's something unusual. It's something out of the ordinary. The Kennedy limousine, that was a status symbol. That car was built. It was built solidly. Um, to build a car like that today, with today's money, it would cost a fortune. Um, Even if it was just a car without the bulletproofing in that, because after Kennedy got assassinated, I think that's when I think President Johnson had it. Um, I think he had it like had bulletproof glass put in and had panels put in to retract bullets from coming in. Um, Whatever. But to build a car like that with the steel and chrome and the high compression engine, I mean, it would cost a fortune nowadays. Probably just as much as a brand new truck, or maybe even beyond that. Serial Marshmallows on YouTube, he made a video recently. That was pretty good about talking about inflation and why cars went up, why cars are so much in price and trucks are so much in price. And he did he he like what he went on the internet and he tried to build his own truck per Ford to order, just as an example. And the truck that like the truck that he made on the internet to order would cost about $74,000. That's a lot. Yeah, my neighbor's Duramax. I mean, I mentioned, I meant about a couple of years ago. I mentioned to him, I was just like, I bet you're probably thankful that you bought your truck when you did, because the trucks like that now are just outrageously priced. And he was like, "Yeah, I know. I'm driving that thing till the doors fall off." Um, because yeah, that Duramax truck back then when he bought that truck, it probably costed a lot, but not as much as they are now. Tollways in Illinois, I think it's. I mean, if they let you use like a debit card or something versus handing out change. I mean, it's been a while since I've been through a tollway in Illinois. Um, I was down in Illinois with my brother over a year ago before COVID, picking up. He was picking up a box Chevy truck for a project, and we went we just went over the border in Illinois. We didn't go further down in the way of any tollways or anything. I think the last time I was down in Illinois, like deep down south, was in '94. I think. Other than that, I haven't been in the state of Illinois that much. Um, but I do remember, like as a kid, and plus as an adult, like going through those tollways. If they let you use your debit card, that'd be cool. I don't know what they do, but I back then you had to throw out your change, and they thought of doing that in Wisconsin. Yeah, that would be just be crap. As far as the government in Illinois, I was I was on Facebook. There was a political thread. They were talking about the governor J.B. Pritzker um, from Illinois and the way he's been running the state like shit. And there was somebody from Illinois that I responded to. I said, "Here in Wisconsin, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome to come here, as long as you leave liberal bullshit politics out of our state." And he was like, "Wow, yeah, definitely. I agree with you." He was like, "I got buddies that live in Madison. Yeah, yeah. Definitely agree with you on the liberal shit. Yeah, yeah." Fuck. I don't know if you heard that. I just cut one, but anyways. Tollways in Illinois. I used to make fun of Illinois. I do stay up pretty late. I'm a night owl. Like I think I gotta get into the habit of like not staying up so late. Um I think it's like kicking my ass now since I've gotten older. Um I gotta learn to like go to bed earlier. I don't know. But I do stay up late. It's because of my last job. I mostly delivered newspapers like early in the morning, and after so many years, I got into the habit of doing that. Habits on Joe Biden. Um, um, don't I want to get that sign for my? I want to get a sign for my front door saying, "Do not blame me. I voted for Trump." There's signs. Um, there's signs like that you could buy on eBay. I thought of getting one of those, but I think a lot of people are having buyer's remorse because they got conned. He promised Biden promised all this stuff, and he just went against the people. Um, I think they're having buyer's remorse, but they don't want to admit it. There's a lot of people that are loyal to the Democratic Party. A matter of fact, I think if somebody from the Democratic Party would say to them, "Walk into the fire," I bet you they probably would, considering that they're so loyal to the Democratic Party that they would do anything for them. Um, I mean, there's a lot of people that don't want to. I mean, they don't. Let's say their whole family like votes Democratic. There's probably some people that feel like they're outsiders because they don't want to vote along with their family, and they're afraid to tell their family that they're voting for a different party because they don't want their family to abandon them. Unfortunately, it's come to that. I mean, people they just don't want to agree to, or they don't want to agree to disagree. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people that have buyer's remorse towards Joe Biden. I mean, um, yeah, he campaigned on getting a hold of the virus. Has he gotten a hold of the virus? No. Matter of fact, he opened up the border. He shut down border wall construction, and he was letting all these um, illegals or people non-citizens. He was just letting the border open. He was just opening up the border like a faucet, and him and Kamala didn't care. And you got all these people that are coming over the border, and they have so many, and some of them may have diseases. Who knows? And during a pandemic, I mean, that wasn't a good thing to do. Just to open up the border, letting all these diseased people in. Um, Opening up the borders, and Kamala, she's in charge of the border, and she's just like, eh. She doesn't care. Same thing with Biden. And yeah, I mean, yeah, Keystone Pipeline. I was reading about the Keystone Pipeline. It's the thing is, as far as like the pipeline, as far as like fuel, transporting fuel, the pipeline versus the railroad, instead of thinking of the environment, follow the money, think of the money. Of course, they may say, oh, the pipeline is a bad way to transport the fuel, it's bad for the environment. From what I've read, it's one of the safest ways to transport the fuel. And with technology, a leak could be detected like that. It's not like the leak could be overlooked. The leaks are detected like that, and they're right on it. It's not like it's contaminating the earth or anything. But here's the thing. Warren Buffett, the politician Warren Buffett, owns the railroad. And with the pipeline constructed, he loses money because the pipeline is transporting the fuel. And the railroad is not needed anymore. So think of this. The pipeline could have been shut down because politicians were losing money. You just got to follow the money. You just got to take all the environmental bullshit and just let it exit your mind for a second and actually think. Just follow the money. You just got to follow the money, because what they say about the environment might always not be true. Yeah, run for president. I would get walked over. I was never political really until Biden's last couple of years of his presidency. Prior to that, I was always following my mother instead of thinking for myself. My mother was a union factory worker, and the people from the union and the factory workers, they would always vote Democrat because the unions felt like the Democratic Party was for the working man. And I started to think where I sat politically, where I leaned politically, and weighing my pros and cons, I started to think, and it turned out I ended up to be more conservative than liberal. And I just could not accept that for a while, because a lot of the conservative or Republican politicians, they were all talk but no action. Sure, they would talk about the border, but they wouldn't do anything about it. All talk, no action. So when Donald Trump came along, that's when I finally accepted being a conservative. Some people say that he's not really conservative, but he was talking about the issues that I mostly cared about. And then I started researching the Democratic Party a lot more and seeing what they were about. And in the past, it was good to like weigh both sides to see what they were offering. But the Democratic Party has gone so far left that it's hurting them. Yeah, they've gone so far left that it's just hurting them. Um, they've turned more progressive instead of being moderate. Being moderate is what people should they should look to. There's hardly any moderates in the Democratic Party anymore. They've mostly just shifted way too far left, and then they're mostly just socialist, and that's what's going to kick them in the ass. Um, yeah, that's what's hurting them. And they were pissed at Joe Manchin for not voting for President Biden's Build Back Better bill, which was basically probably just a bunch of pork, just unnecessary spending. Um, it was probably just a bunch of unnecessary pork, the unnecessary spending. Um, Manchin just voted against that, and 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 the progressives in the Democratic Party, they started freaking out on him. They thought he was a traitor to his party because he voted against the bill. It is what it is. I mean, it's his own vote. He's his own person. Can he have his own thoughts? It's a complete shit show. But yeah, the Democratic Party moving way too far left, it's hurting them. And you could bet before the 2022 midterms that they're going to push as much shit through as they can because from what I've heard, I mean, they're going to lose big time. As far as Pelosi, I'm hoping she's out. Once she's out, I mean, I think I could breathe again. I think she's a big problem. But anyways, yeah. I hate to go on about politics. I mean, it's something I'm passionate about. But yeah, it's all one big shit show. But yeah, inflation and the gas prices. Yeah, I'm not that. Usually, I'm an introverted person. I'm very quiet, and that's not good for being a politician. Those are not good traits. Yeah, you got to sell yourself. You got to be talkative. I mean, I love socializing, but sometimes I just get so overwhelmed that I just need to have my quiet time. Yeah, but yeah, it's quiet over here. The cat isn't bothering me. Usually she gets all bothersome and then she just goes to sleep. She's strange. Yeah, I just bought a new furnace filter and got a new furnace humidifier filter too. And then my toilet needed a new flapper in the tank, and I noticed that the toilet was running just a tad bit. It was running just a little bit, even though the flapper was sealing. So I decided just to replace both. Um, it was like $14 versus like $8 for the flapper. Just spend about 14 and just get the whole kit. So that's what I did. So yeah, home ownership, repairing all the shit, but it's cheaper than rent. Rent's outrageous here. Um, Got a Ream furnace. It's from 2003. The air conditioners. The air conditioner is about 3 years old, I think now. Yeah, before that we used to have a Lennox furnace from 1962. Thing was still working good when I was taken out. Did not fail, but it just was so old that it was kind of like a liability. It was kind of a gamble every season if it was going to break down or not. Of course, nobody wants to deal with a furnace breaking down in wintertime and freezing winter. Um, I was told that eventually the exchanger could crack on the old furnace which it never really did. That furnace could have been easily reinstalled in a garage or something because there wasn't really much to it. There was no computerization or anything or any of that crap. It was just a basic unit, just a blower and an exchanger and just a bunch of piping above it. That would have made a good garage furnace. I remember I had to replace the belt a couple times on the blower. A lot of furnaces nowadays don't have belts on them anymore. All the belts, all the blowers are like direct drive along with the motor. Yeah, drain the swamp. Drain the swamp. I've learned the last few years that the swamp runs pretty big. The swamp. Yeah, Happy New Year. I'm gonna get going pretty soon anyway. Too. Yeah, awesome. Glad you enjoyed it. Um, the swamp. The swamp is every place. I mean, it ain't just in politics; it's everywhere. Every the swamp is everywhere. You got your politics, you got your media, and some of the doctors and stuff are probably in this are on this too. They're probably part of the swamp. My mom used to get these telemarketing calls. Um, she used to get these telemarketing calls, and they were from like Nigeria or they were from like it was mostly just foreigners just calling. I imagine they were from a different country or maybe these underground like telemarketing places. Um, they were trying to offer like free braces for Medicare or something like that. It was a scam, and yeah, I mean these people. If you would talk back to them on the phone, they would use profanity. Like I told them "fuck you" a bunch of times, and they would say "fuck you" back. Um, so I think, and I heard some of the doctors are on these scams too. So obviously they're trying to make money. They're part of the swamp. So the swamp is everywhere. It's from your politicians to your media. It's the swamp is every place. I mean, if you take down one or two, it'd be difficult to take down the rest because you would have to go through every single. You got to go through every single pathway, um, just to follow the swamp where they're swamping in. Um, the swamp is everywhere. It's like roaches. They're like crawling in the woodwork. They're everywhere. I mean, taking down two or three isn't gonna cause much change. You would have to bring the whole infestation down. So yeah, draining the swamp, it's a never-ending battle. Um, but yeah. So, anyways, have a good new year. I'm gonna get going. So it was nice doing this live stream. Maybe I'll do another one eventually. And happy new year, like I said again. Be careful, stay safe. Have a good night. Bye.